Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about Dundas Street. The south end of Toronto is traversed by Dundas Street, a 23-kilometer street that runs east to west. Dundas Street has existed in what is now known as Toronto from at least the early 1800s. City staff have confirmed that the road was named in 1793 by John Graves Simcoe, the first Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada, in honor of Scottish politician Henry Dundas. Henry Dundas was the first Viscount Melville, an active politician from the 1770s to the early 1800s. Due to his political importance and contributions, Henry Dundas was admired and influential at the time Dundas Street was named. He made statements opposing slavery in 1776 with the representation of a man who had been bought as a slave in Jamaica and taken to Scotland.
But his legacy is quite controversial. His real intentions were quite different from his impression at the time. In 1792, Dundas amended William Wilberforce's motion in the British House of Commons to immediately abolish the transatlantic slave trade. According to Melanie Newton, Dundas' motion sought to sustain slavery without slave trading in the long run, and the lengthy debate provided slave owners time to trade in more black people, especially young women and children, to maintain the enslaved populations. The House of Commons approved Dundas' suggestion to modify Wilberforce's motion to gradually abolish slavery and decided the ultimate date should be 1796. According to CBC News, some commentators have claimed that the motion would have not passed at all without Dundas' proposed change. Nevertheless, Newton stated that some might think that's an abolitionist position, but it was very much actual about securing the long-term future of slavery without human trafficking. Considering the diversity on Dundas Street, there are shops, businesses, parks, schools, churches, and lovely neighborhood throughout the corridor. Crossing Dundas are two significant ravine systems. The 39,000 residents of the area around Dundas come from a variety of ethnic backgrounds: English, Polish, Canadian, Chinese, Filipino, Italian, Scottish, Irish, and Indian. Along Dundas Street's path, immigrant neighborhoods have sprung up, the majority of which still preserve some kind of original characteristics. The city's original Jewish community was located in Kingston Market, while city's largest downtown Asian ethnic neighborhood is still Chinatown, and in the middle of 19th century, the Irish immigrant community made Bruckton village their home in the West End. The Rua Acores neighborhood was later populated by Portuguese and Brazilian immigrants. Due to its proximity to railroads and heavy industries such as meat packing, which grew there in late 19th century, the junction attracted a lot of immigrant laborers from Ireland, Britain, Southern and Eastern Europe. Dundas Street plays a crucial role in our community. Its historical significance and the sense of identity it brings make it a valuable part of our local heritage. However, concerns have been raised about its namesake, Henry Dundas, and his connections to the slave trade. Advocates argued that Henry Dundas, the namesake of the street, played a role in delaying Great Britain's decision to abolish the transatlantic slave trade. The historical connection raised valid concerns about whether it was appropriate to honor someone with a street name who may have impeded the progress of abolition. Let's examine the impact of renaming the street on those who are descendants of enslaved people.
What would it mean to you if the name is changed?
The day that I walked down that street for the first time and the name Dundas is gone would be a very emotional day, I have to say. I feel very proud to have been able to make this kind of difference. That would mean a lot.
Just like how a coin has two sides, there is another side of the conflict about renaming the street. The issue regarding Dundas Street has led to increased unity between white, black, and indigenous communities that are against the name of Dundas Street. What might have been a continuous issue at first become a platform for advocacy and understanding. People from many backgrounds came together over their shared desire to resolve historical injustice and foster an inclusive society. Community members explored the problematic history connected to Honey Dundas and engaged more general discussions on colonial legacies and systematic inequalities during the discourse, which offered important educational opportunities. This mutual understanding served as the basis for empathy, enabling people to respect one another's viewpoint and concerns.
Even though the name Dundas represents discrimination towards black and aboriginal people, and changing it can be perceived as an achievement, renaming the street will not change the past. Moreover, according to a city report presented in the Globe and Mail, renaming Dundas Street would cost $8.6 million, which would cover new street signs, navigation system components, and renaming parks and subway stations. The procedure would also affect the lives of the 4.5 thousand businesses on the street and the 97,000 individuals who live there, including the 60 businesses with Dundas in their titles. Allocating money to a street renaming initiative may not be the best use of public money at a time when the city of Toronto is dealing with a $1.5 billion budget deficit and working to solve urgent issues like housing and homelessness. An equivalent amount of money could be used better and more productively elsewhere. For instance, improving access to healthcare and mental health services in Black and Aboriginal communities would be a successful effort to address historical injustice. Equal funding could also be used for community development programs that empower Black and Aboriginal communities economically and socially. Creating scholarship programs and educational opportunities exclusively for Black and Aboriginal people can be another way to put money to good use. The current population would benefit from using these methods to make up for historical injustice towards Black and Indigenous population, and the general population would not be affected as much as it would if the street is renamed, which is more essential than changing the street's name. To conclude, it's better to spend money in initiatives that improve the future of upcoming generation than using it to change a street's name.